The Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and your local cable provider presents Cable Reports. Join us now as Cable Reports brings you up to date on current issues facing the Commonwealth through discussions with your local legislators and other policymakers from across Virginia.
From the General Assembly and the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. We're so pleased to have Secretary of Education Ann Holton with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Woody. Great to be with you.
Tell us a little bit about the department you oversee, what it does, and a little bit about your background and experience.
Yeah, sure, Woody. I'm happy to. So I oversee actually all of the education-related agencies in state government. So the biggest certainly is the Virginia Department of Education, which is the state's part of public schools. And also SHEV, the State Council of Higher Education, which is also the state's arm in helping improve and support our higher education system in Virginia. And I have a bunch of museums and other organizations under my secretariat as well, which makes it fun.
So you have K through 12. You've got our high schools. What about community colleges? And
community colleges and higher eds are absolutely all under me as well, though let's just say they're all fairly independent. So, but I'm involved when we're talking about budgets for community colleges and policy, governor's office policy, and we've got some exciting things going on in our community colleges and higher ed as well as in public education this year.
Now, what kind of relationship does the department have to the State Board of Education?
So the State Board of Governor appoints the members of the State Board of Education, and the Board of Education essentially is the oversight body for the State Department of Education. The Superintendent of Public Instruction, Steve Staples, is my colleague and runs that agency and is officially the secretary to the board. So
now, I know
we all work hand in hand.
Great. Now, I know you were an attorney, you were a judge, but how did you get here?
How did I get here? Well, that's a great question. I'm a longtime fan of public education in Virginia. I'm a product of public education. I went to schools all over Virginia. My children graduated from the City of Richmond schools right here. And so I've been involved in 1,000 PTAs and in various civic organizations helping support our schools over the longer haul.
Did I also hear correctly that you helped to integrate the schools in the city of Richmond?
I did as a child when when my dad was governor. Linwood Holton was governor back in 1970. It was really the chance of a lifetime as a kid to be part of something bigger than yourself, something that mattered. So I've always had a very strong affection for the Richmond City Schools from dating back to my 12-year-old year, going to what was then Mosby Middle School, now Martin Luther King Middle School over in Churchill. So I've always been a fan of the public education. My first real official job in education was when I worked with the community colleges before I was appointed Secretary of Education. Though I think that a lot of what I bring to this job comes from my experiences as a juvenile court judge and as a legal aid lawyer.
Great. The governor outlined his budget proposals in the State of the Commonwealth address he gave. I think there's money for an additional 2,500 instructional positions in their budget. Talk to us about why that is so critical.
Yeah, the governor's budget is a very, very strong budget for education. The governor proposed over $1 billion in new money for education. Over $1 billion. $840 million for the K-12 public schools and an additional $200 million plus for higher ed. So it's a very, very strong budget for education. It's important, Woody, because we've really been squeezing our education systems really at both the K-12 and the higher level, and we made choices back in the recession that may well have been the right choice at the time, but that have really had significant impact on our schools, and our schools across the Commonwealth are just hurting. There are 5,000 some positions down from where they were in 2008, 2009, not even taking into account enrollment growth. They're seeing, well, I like to call it the trifecta. They're seeing kids with more challenges, so we've got higher poverty, which always brings challenges with it. We're seeing higher levels of English language learners in the school system. That's the first of the trifecta. The second is we're placing much higher expectations on our schools. We want them to graduate everybody, and they are rising to that challenge, but it takes a lot of work. We're raising the expectation, the rigor of our testing, trying to get kids ready for college and career. But the combination of kids with tougher challenges, higher expectations, and the most important, less resources. We've been asking our schools to do more with less, and we really our per pupil spending level with the governor's budget will get back up to above where it was in 2008, 2009, which is a long time coming, and we'll bring it to the highest level ever and where it should be.
So what are we doing in particular about those at-risk students you mentioned?
Yes, thank you. And you also asked about the 2,500 instructional positions, so I'd love to talk about both of those. That 2,500 instructional positions is a very bold proposal the governor made to address the fact that we've lost all these positions as a result of the recession. And the proposal is for the state share of additional instructional positions based on 1 per every elementary school, 2 per every middle school, and 2 for every high school, all across the state. And the positions have to be in the schools, instructional, helping at the front line. But other than that, it gives divisions a lot of flexibility. So when the governor and I toured around the state, we did a series of education roundtables this fall, hearing from parents and teachers and students. And we heard everywhere that they need more resources, but we heard one place say, we desperately need more school counselors to help our kids explore career possibilities. And we heard another say, we need more instructional technology, and another, we need more teachers, and another, we need more assistant principals. This money gives them flexibility to, as we recoup from where we were from our bottom out during the recession, gives them flexibility to put those resources where they need them most.
So this is in essence a reset of the benchmark, so to speak?
Well, so that's a complicated question, because we do something every 2 years called re-benchmarking the standards of quality. And we are re-benchmarking. One of the biggest things in the governor's budget is that we are fully funding the cost of re-benchmarking, which is significant. It's $400 million plus. And it always should be fully funded, but it hasn't always been historically. So that's a big step. But these are proposals that are on top of that. And there are other ways one could have gone about it by trying to alter and enhance the SOQs, but that would have given the localities less flexibility, and hence the governor's proposal for new teachers. The governor's another big proposal in the budget is the governor. There are funds for it's called the At-Risk Add-on Fund that helps support the money that's distributed according to schools' percentage of free and reduced lunch children. And that money is flexible for the local divisions to use for programs that are evidence-based, best practices that really help make a difference in turning things around for the kids who need it the most.
Are those at-risk students in both urban and rural areas?
Absolutely, yes. A very, very good question. We have significant levels of both urban and rural poverty in our schools, and those are the challenges are different, but remarkably more similar than not. What's it mean to be helping a child be successful in Richmond or Petersburg, coming from a low-income background, is very, very similar to what it takes in Bristol and Lee County. For one, all of those divisions, how do you attract and retain great teachers in those divisions where they're really struggling is a huge challenge. How do you get wraparound support services so that the children are in class, well-fed, eager, got good health care, ready to learn all day long, every day? Those challenges are absolutely the same in the urban and rural low-income divisions.
I often hear from our Northern Virginia legislators that the local composite index does not work as well as they would like it.
Yeah. The local composite index is one of those things that everybody hates it, and everybody agrees it should be changed, but nobody can agree on what it should be changed to. So I hear from divisions all over that come to tell me how unfair it is to their community, and usually they've got a pretty good argument, and I say, okay, go talk to your counterparts across the Commonwealth and come up with a proposal that everybody can agree to, and we'll go forward. And I mean, I don't mean to be flip about it because it's a serious problem, but it is a formula that is designed to try to capture the local ability to pay, and it's a flawed formula, except that it's better than all the others since nobody's been able to come up with any viable alternatives. But it's not just the Northern Virginia jurisdictions that it hurts. I mean, there are some other significant special cases.
Talk to us about the 2% teacher raise that's in the second year, I believe,
Yes.
of the budget. And we all know that the governor wants to raise salaries for state employees as well. But in particular, what about those teacher raises?
Yes, our teachers desperately need to be paid better. How Virginia ranks nationally, how we rank compared to how we have been in teacher pay, we're slipping. And we're seeing significant teacher shortages here and across the country that I'm absolutely convinced they're not all about money, but money is not, it's not insignificant either. And so we absolutely need to be addressing teacher pay. I'm very pleased that the governor was able to put a raise into the second year of the biennium. Is it enough to get us where we need to be? No. But the good news is really that the state mandated raise for teachers is a baseline. It's by no means the cap. And if we succeed in, as we have proposed, in getting a significant volume of new money out to the divisions in a flexible way, then they can use it to raise pay even beyond that. The problem is if we mandate a bigger teacher pay raise, then localities that can't match it don't get to do anything at all. So this way, I know a number of divisions are looking to deal with their salary compression issues, that the recession has caused a 10-year veteran to be getting paid almost the same thing as a brand new teacher. Again, if we can give resources to the localities to flexibly be able to use, that's our goal.
So it's a real partnership then?
Yes. Public education is always got to be a partnership and a collaboration between the state, which currently pays probably about 40% of just under 40% of what is spent on public education in the Commonwealth. The divisions that would point out that that's well under what we used to do, and that we're not doing our share, and that's part of our point of our budget proposal.
Yeah, because there are stories you hear from time to time about veteran teachers who are very good teachers, but whose salaries are so low that their children are eligible for reduced or free lunches.
Yeah, or food stamps. We had one where somebody told me we had a veteran teacher, and I just almost didn't believe it. And they went back and checked, and sure enough, it's just inexcusable. We've got to figure out how to do better on that. I'm also convinced that the teacher shortages, it's not all about pay. You know, our teachers, God bless them, when we went out and did these teacher roundtables, these roundtables across the Commonwealth, a number of them were specifically with teacher groups, and they do ask for better resources for themselves, but it's about 10th on the list. They ask for 9 things before that. They just want what's right for their kids, and I really think one of the biggest things we could do to attract and retain teachers better is do some of the things we're doing to reform our accountability system, our SOLs. Teachers are really not only not being compensated right, but they're feeling like we're taking away the joy of teaching and of learning from them by over-regulating them. We got to work on that, and we are working on that.
Now, a few years ago, there was a lot of optimism about getting new teachers through Teach for America. What has happened with that?
So Teach for America was scheduled to come here in the city of Richmond starting last year, I guess, and unfortunately, as the recession has ended, just as we've started to see teacher shortages everywhere else, TFA found a drop in their national applicant rate. So we were very eager to have them here, but our national partner was not able to, didn't feel like they had sufficient capacity to expand to a new location. There's still some possibilities. We're exploring some partnerships with them where we can take advantage of what TFA has to offer without bringing them here to Richmond full-time, and we remain open to getting them here if and when they're ready. We do have another program that we at the state level are supporting that I'm very, very excited about, that is similar in ways in that it's bringing great teachers into the high poverty urban environment. This teacher residency program that run here in Richmond through VCU, and ODU had one in Norfolk that lost its grant money but is now getting started back up again with state help. That it's a really, really good model. Like TFA, it recruits students who've completed their undergraduate degree, interested in moving into education, gets them a master's degree. But in the teacher residency model, these teachers have a full year in the classroom, but not in charge of a classroom, working under a master teacher, learning their craft and getting their academic work done for that full year, and then 3 years of commitment to the school division thereafter, during which they have mentoring and other supports. It's a really good program.
How important is adequate funding of the teacher retirement fund?
Well, it's absolutely crucial, and the General Assembly has been working really for some years now to live up to our responsibilities fully on teacher retirement and state employee retirement, and we have been underfunding it. They've been on a path to getting us back up to funding 100% of the liability, and we've been on a path that was going to get us there eventually, but Governor McAuliffe's budget proposes accelerating that so that really by the end of this biennium we will be at 100% of our obligations to teacher retirements, which you got to take care of that. It's the same issue with respect to state employee retirements, really.
Now, there's been a tremendous increase in the cost of higher education for a variety of reasons, but there's money in the budget towards increased funding for higher education in the Commonwealth.
Yes, we're very excited about that. There's money in the budget to really two significant pots. One that would just help keep tuition increases down by supporting the general expenditures, general operations at the colleges. And then there's another significant pot that the governor proposed for the first time in a long time to really make a significant increase in our need-based financial aid.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about K through 12, and especially early childhood education and the importance of that as well.
Yes. We are firm believers. Governor McAuliffe campaigned on it, and I'm a firm believer with him that are getting kids off to the right start makes all the difference. You know, Woody, one of the research studies I've read that made that most obvious to me is there's a study that shows that children from, especially at-risk children from low-income backgrounds, show up at kindergarten at age 5 having heard 5 million fewer spoken words
5 million?
than their counterparts.
Wow.
So it's just simply a matter of but it's both a moral and a financial imperative for the Commonwealth. We got to help get these kids off to a good start. And high-quality early childhood programs is a great way to do it.
And I guess a real barometer of measurement is reading at the 3rd grade level, is it not?
Yep. Well, yes, that is a significant barometer, but I also think there are barometers before that and after that. But getting kids off to an early good start is crucial. Really, my colleague, we have a children's cabinet initiative where all of the agencies, all of the cabinet members that have some significant involvement with young people work together, and Secretary Hazel reminds me that we really are talking not, sometimes we say, oh, the crucial age is 3 or 4, but it's really before, prenatal all the way to 3rd grade and beyond. We've got to really work hard to get right.
Some also suggest that there's been a significant increase in suspensions, especially in our high schools, and the use of school resource officers have come into question.
Yeah. So actually in Virginia, the latest data shows we've actually got declining use of suspensions and expulsions and criminal referrals. So I'm really happy to say over the last couple of years, the numbers are going down as they should, but they are still quite high. Virginia was highlighted in a national study a year or so ago indicating that we were one of the worst in the nation for referring kids from our schools to our criminal justice system. And there were some things about that study that I could quibble with, but I can't quibble with all of the data across suspensions, expulsions, short-term, longer-term suspensions, all show really that we're excessively disciplining kids in ways that take them out of the classroom, take them away from learning time, and that we have significant disparate impact, so that kids from young people of color, young people with disabilities are being disciplined at a much greater rate than their counterparts. And when I say excessive, I say it's excessive because we know that there are divisions that are doing it right and that are keeping everybody in the building safe and learning without really high levels of suspensions. And we've got some programs that really help make a difference.
One of them is classrooms, not courtrooms, I think.
Yes. Governor McAuliffe launched a Classrooms Not Courtrooms initiative this fall that's got several components to it, but the gist of it is helping our schools and our communities figure out how to substitute positive solutions instead of removing kids from a classroom that doesn't help anybody.
To what extent are the truancy laws still used by local prosecutors?
They are still used. You and I both know, because
Yes.
we've been involved in that world, that truancy laws have been always frustrating to everybody because they just never feel like you've got tools that really make a difference. It does not make sense to lock kids up for truancy, and yet does that mean you can't do anything? Well, no, that can't be the right answer. I have found, both from my time on the bench and from my work in this job, that if you put resources to bear to figuring out what the root cause of the problem is, and figure out how to get some family-based solutions, that most of these problems can be addressed. I mean, sometimes it's a child who's being bullied, sometimes it's a child with underlying health problems or underlying family problems, or sometimes it's a case where you do need to help the child and the parent both understand that what's their responsibility. But effective cross-agency collaboration and bringing the parent in as a partner, I think is the right approach.
So how important are free breakfasts, reduced lunches to alleviate those problems?
You know, in some of our communities, we really do have so many children who are, well, you've heard my successor in the governor's mansion, Dorothy McAuliffe, is just doing a great job as First Lady in championing the issue that we need to make sure there is no child hungry in Virginia. And we do have still hundreds of thousands of kids going to school hungry. And how focused can you be on learning when you're focused on being hungry? And with the free breakfast program, the free lunch program, there's just huge opportunities to make a difference. She's also helped introduce to Virginia a really terrific program, Breakfast After the Bell, where we're looking at innovative ways to deliver that free breakfast. So we remove the stigma so that kids get good, nutritious meals when they need them. The school divisions that are taking advantage of those programs are just loving it, really seeing it make a difference.
Now, it looks like there's a real paradigm shift going on in terms of what we focus on, especially at the high school level. The governor, in his remarks, highlighted a youngster who won an award for the development of an app, for example.
Yeah.
We have cybersecurity that is going to bring a lot of employment opportunities, but we have to be prepared for that. What kinds of things are you and your department doing to encourage this new paradigm?
Yeah, Woody, we're absolutely seeing the workforce is changing, and our students aren't yet changing enough, and our schools aren't changing enough to help our students meet the needs of the 21st century workforce. One of the great things is some of these jobs that our industry and business partners are telling us they're having a hard time filling, they're great jobs. They're good paying jobs that don't necessarily require, they require something post-secondary, but they don't necessarily require a 4-year degree. And they're not, these are not the dirty, painful manufacturing jobs of a prior century. They are jobs that require advanced technical skills, and they're interesting and challenging and remunerative. So we're really focused on how we can help both our K-12 system and our higher ed system and our community colleges focus on how to help make sure young people know about a full range of options, help them explore a whole lot of different possibilities, and have alternative, rigorous pathways to college and career success. There's not just one way to get there.
Yeah, I think I saw some remarks of yours maybe a year ago where you highlighted a collaboration between the Smithsonian Institute,
Oh, yes.
School of Engineering, I forget the other school at the University of Virginia.
University of Virginia's Ed School and Engineering School were
Yes.
involved, Smithsonian, and then the Charlottesville and Albemarle school
Right,
systems.
right.
Great program.
What was that all about?
Oh, it was just great. They had, experiential project-based learning is one of the things that's a little bit gotten lost in the shuffle of all the standardized testing. Something where you give a child or a group of children a chance to explore and fail, maybe. Give them an assignment. That one in particular, those children I visited that were part of that Smithsonian project, actually I've run into them a couple of times, but we're given projects like find a 19th century machine, invention, research its patent through the Smithsonian's resources, and then recreate it in your own way using the 3D printer.
Wow.
And your own initiative. And as I say, I went and watched this one middle school in Albemarle where the teacher was stepping back, letting the kids fail. That's something that we just don't do that often.
Right,
Everything's
right.
oriented toward you gotta pass, you gotta answer the question right. But no, this teacher was letting these kids figure out what didn't work, and then collaboratively letting them, well, wait a minute, what about we try something different, and let's get to yes, but in a way the students are really engaged in learning. We've got to figure out how to promote more of that. Really, where our high school redesign bill that the governor is promoting this year in the General Assembly is all focused on how can we help refocus really the effort on getting kids the skills and competencies they need to be successful in this modern world, and that's communication and collaboration and creative thinking and problem solving. And some of those things have gotten a little lost in the shuffle in our current high school design.
We've got about a minute and a half left, but I definitely wanted you to cover what's going on in terms of SOL reforms. I tell you, I've got a granddaughter last year who was traumatized because she was going to be subjected to those tests.
And what grade was she in?
She was in the 4th grade at the time.
Yeah. So it is a huge need. The best news, you can tell your grandchild that the federal law that mandated a lot of some of the testing stuff we were doing that was just really not productive was called No Child Left Behind, and we have left behind No Child Left Behind. Now what we will have in its place is Virginia, the state, is now required to devise our own accountability system, and we're working very hard to figure out how to assess students and evaluate schools in a way that helps promote great learning instead of terrifying 4th graders.
And you've got your innovation committee going on.
Our innovation committee is very involved in that work. The Board of Ed is very involved. We're working to shorten tests, to make them more growth-oriented, more productive, less pressure.
Well, great. It's been wonderful having you here, Secretary of Education Ann Holton.
Woody, great to be with you.
Thank you for watching Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast. Until next time, I'm Woody Evans.
Mm-hmm.